Have you ever felt like there's something more to your life? Something beyond the ordinary? Like maybe the universe is sending you signs, guiding you in a direction that you can't fully explain. You've probably had those moments where you question if it's all just coincidence, or if there's something bigger at play. Well, what if I told you that those feelings, those strange occurrences, and those signs aren't just random? They might actually be part of a much larger plan, one that's leading you toward your true purpose. And what if I told you that you could be one of the chosen ones? You might be wondering, chosen for what? The answer is simpler than you think. The signs you've been noticing, the repeated patterns, the unexpected encounters, the gut feelings that never seem to go away, they could be much more than just fleeting moments or coincidences. They could be guiding you toward a destiny you've been blind to until now. But how do you know if you're on the right path? How can you tell if these signs are really pointing you towards something greater, something that's truly meant for you? In today's video, we're going to dive deep into this idea. We'll explore the 7 most common signs that could indicate you're the chosen one, or that you're on a path leading you to something much more significant than you might have realized. These signs can show up in many different ways, often when you least expect them, and they can come across as subtle or powerful, depending on how attuned you are to them. Some people might dismiss them as coincidence, but others, the ones who are truly listening, understand that these signs are anything but random. They're part of a bigger, divine plan. So what are these signs, and how do you start recognizing them? That's exactly what we're going to uncover. But here's the thing. This isn't just about spotting these signs, it's about understanding what they mean for you personally and how they fit into the bigger picture of your life. The universe has a way of speaking to us, whether through dreams, encounters with strangers, moments of inner peace, or those gut feelings that just won't go away. And if you pay close attention, you might find that these signs are trying to tell you that you are meant for something extraordinary, something beyond your current understanding. Now, before we dive into all of this, I want you to take a moment to think about your own life. Have you ever experienced something that made you stop and wonder if it was more than just a coincidence? Maybe it was a series of events that seemed oddly connected, or a chance encounter that changed the course of your day, or maybe even your life. The more you begin to notice, the more you might start to realize that there's something bigger going on. And today, we're going to help you understand exactly what that is. Before we get started, don't forget to like this video if you've ever felt like something greater is at work in your life. Share it with anyone who might need a little reminder that they're not alone on this journey. And of course, hit that subscribe button so you can keep up with all of our videos on how to recognize and embrace the signs that could be guiding you toward your destiny. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. The first sign: recurring patterns and synchronicities. Have you ever had one of those moments where something just keeps showing up in your life, over and over again? Maybe it's a number that keeps appearing in your daily routine, a certain word or phrase that you can't seem to escape, or a series of events that seem to happen again and again in an almost identical way. At first, you might think it's all just a coincidence, but as these patterns and repetitions keep happening, you can't help but wonder, is there something more going on here? Could these recurring patterns be a sign of something deeper, something spiritual, trying to get your attention? Well, if you've experienced this, then you may be witnessing the first sign that you're the chosen one, and it's all about recognizing the power of recurring patterns and synchronicities. So, what exactly are we talking about when we mention recurring patterns and synchronicities? At its core, synchronicity is the concept of meaningful coincidences, events that seem unrelated, but somehow align in a way that feels significant. These aren't just random happenings. They feel like they're connected by something larger, something beyond our understanding. It's as if the universe is speaking to you, sending subtle messages through repeating numbers, symbols, or events that you're meant to notice. But the real question is, how can you tell if what you're experiencing is a true synchronicity or just another coincidence? Let's talk about a real-life example. Imagine this. You're driving to work and for some reason you're running a little late. You take the same route you always do, but as you approach the intersection where you usually turn left, something strange happens. You notice the same car, a red sedan, turning at the same time. It's the exact same car you've seen twice before on your way to work. It's almost like this car is following you, but you brush it off as coincidence. The next day, the same car appears again, at the same intersection, at the same time. And then, just when you start to think, okay, this is getting a little weird, you notice that the car has a specific license plate number, 555. You think, okay, maybe it's just a random number. But then, a few hours later, you see the same number, 555, on the clock when you check the time. And then, later that week, when you're flipping through a magazine, you notice the same number again, right there on an advertisement. You can't shake the feeling that this number is trying to tell you something, but what is it? This is the first sign you might be looking for, synchronicities and repeating patterns. The number 555 is not just a random sequence of digits, it's often interpreted in numerology as a symbol of change, transformation, and growth. If you've seen this number in multiple places and situations, it's worth considering that the universe might be trying to send you a message. It could be a sign that something in your life is about to change, that you're on the brink of an important shift or transformation, or that the universe is guiding you to take action toward your destiny. You see, recurring patterns like this don't happen by accident. They are the universe's way of catching your attention, urging you to wake up and pay attention to the signs around you. When you start seeing the same patterns, symbols, or numbers over and over again, it's like the universe is giving you a little nudge, saying, hey, you're on the right path, keep going. And these signs can take many different forms. They could be numbers, as we just discussed, or they could be symbolic shapes, like certain animals showing up in your life at the right moment, or even words and phrases that keep popping up in conversations, books, or TV shows. Take another example. Perhaps you've been feeling lost or uncertain about your career. You've been thinking about making a change, but you're too scared to take the leap. Then, one day, as you're scrolling through your social media feed, you see a post from an old friend who's just quit their job to start a new business. You think, wow, that's exactly what I've been thinking about. You keep reading the post, and it resonates with you on a deep level. A few days later, you're talking to a colleague, and they mention the exact same idea, about quitting their job to follow their passion. Now you start thinking, this is crazy. Why am I hearing about this so much? It's like the universe is telling you, this is your sign. It's time for a change. In these moments, you might feel like it's all just a coincidence, but when these events happen over and over, it becomes harder to dismiss. These are synchronicities at work. They're the universe's way of speaking to you, trying to push you in the right direction, or telling you that you're in alignment with something greater. You might even notice that these signs seem to appear at the perfect time, exactly when you need them most. Now let's talk about how to recognize these signs in your own life. The first step is simply to be aware. You've got to pay attention to what's happening around you. Notice when certain numbers, animals, or words appear frequently, especially when they seem to pop up at pivotal moments in your life. When something feels like more than just a coincidence, it's worth taking a moment to pause and ask yourself, what might this be trying to tell me? The more aware you become of these repeating patterns, the easier it will be to see when something is a synchronicity and not just a random occurrence. One of the key things to remember is that synchronicities are often subtle. They don't always hit you over the head with obvious signs. Sometimes they might show up in the smallest ways, like a song playing on the radio that perfectly matches your mood, or a stranger saying exactly what you needed to hear. These moments can feel fleeting, but if you're paying attention, they can guide you towards something greater. Don't brush them off just because they seem insignificant. Each sign is a piece of the puzzle, a little clue that could lead you to the next step on your journey. And let's not forget that these signs are not just about finding the answers to your questions. They're also about connecting with the deeper meaning of your life. When you recognize these patterns, you're tapping into a spiritual connection that can help guide you on your path. You're becoming more in tune with the universe, and as a result, you might start to feel more aligned with your true purpose. So the next time you notice something repeating in your life, whether it's a number, a symbol, or an event, don't dismiss it as just a coincidence. Pay attention. It could be the universe's way of showing you that you're on the right track. These synchronicities are not just random, they're guiding you, helping you uncover the hidden path that's been laid out for you. Trust in the signs because they're part of a greater plan, and they're here to remind you that you are, indeed, the chosen one. The second sign, feeling different or out of place. Have you ever had the feeling that no matter where you are or who you're with, something just doesn't feel quite right? Like you're always a little bit out of sync with the world around you. It's as if you're standing in a crowd, but you're somehow disconnected, like an outsider trying to fit into a world that just doesn't seem to understand you. Maybe you've experienced that deep sense of not quite belonging, whether at work, in your social circles, or even in your own family. If you felt this way, you might be experiencing one of the most common signs that you're the chosen one. The feeling of being different or out of place is often linked to having a special purpose or mission in life, something that goes beyond the ordinary. This sense of being different isn't always a bad thing. In fact, it can be a sign that you're on the path to discovering something greater, something unique about your existence that others may not understand. It's easy to feel isolated or even alienated when you're surrounded by people who seem to have it all together, while you're left wondering if you're on the right track. But that feeling of being disconnected could actually be a clue that you're meant to follow a path that's less conventional, one that aligns more with your true calling, rather than trying to fit into the mold that society, friends, or family have set for you. Let's take a look at a real-life example of how this sign might show up in someone's life. Imagine a character named Sarah. Sarah is a 32-year-old marketing professional living in a busy city. On the surface, she has everything she's supposed to want: a stable job, a decent income, and a nice apartment in a trendy neighborhood. But despite all of this, Sarah often feels empty inside. She goes to work every day, sits in meetings and interacts with her colleagues, but none of it feels fulfilling. At the end of the day, she often comes home feeling exhausted and disconnected, like she's living someone else's life. When she looks at her friends, it seems like they all have clear paths, careers they're passionate about, relationships that are thriving, and personal goals they're actively pursuing. Sarah, on the other hand, is struggling to find a sense of purpose. She tries to fit in at work, attends happy hours with her colleagues, and listens to their conversations about promotions, vacations, and their exciting weekend plans. But no matter how much she tries, she can't shake the feeling that she doesn't quite belong there. She questions why she's not as excited about her work as everyone else seems to be. She asks herself why she's not driven by the same passions or ambitions that fuel the people around her. Over time, Sarah starts to feel like a square peg in a round hole, like she's living a life that was expected of her, not the life she was meant to live. One day, Sarah has an epiphany while she's walking through the park on her lunch break. She's been thinking a lot about how she's been feeling lately, and as she looks around at the people walking by, she realizes that she's not just feeling out of place at work or in her social life, she feels out of place in the world. It's like she's on the outside looking in, but instead of feeling sad about it, she feels something else, something deeper. She realizes that this feeling of being disconnected is actually pointing her towards something greater. It's as if her soul is calling her to wake up, to step into a purpose that goes beyond the ordinary 9-to-5 life she's been leading. For the first time in a long while, Sarah feels a glimmer of hope. Maybe the reason she feels so different is because she's meant to do something special, something that aligns with her true calling. Sarah's story is one that many of us can relate to. Have you ever felt like Sarah? Maybe you felt out of place in your career or at school, wondering why your passions don't align with the expectations of others. Perhaps you've struggled with relationships, feeling like you just don't connect with people the way they seem to connect with each other. Or maybe, like Sarah, you found yourself wondering if you're living the life that was meant for you, or if there's something more, something bigger, that you're meant to pursue. The feeling of being different isn't just a random thought. It's a sign that you're not meant to conform to society's norms or fit into the mold that others expect of you. Instead, it could be an indication that you're being called to follow a unique path, one that's aligned with your true purpose. Many people who are the chosen ones experience this sense of being different at some point in their lives. It's a feeling of being out of place, yes, but it's also a feeling of being meant for something more. This sense of disconnection isn't necessarily something to be feared or avoided. It's a clue that you're on a special journey, one that's designed for you and you alone. Now, let's think about how this feeling might show up in your life. Have you ever felt like you didn't belong in certain social situations? Maybe you've attended parties or gatherings where everyone seemed to get along, but you couldn't shake the feeling that you were just pretending to be part of it all. Maybe you've been in relationships where you felt like you were playing a role, but you weren't truly connected with the person you were with. Perhaps you've struggled with the idea of following a traditional career path, or living up to other people's expectations, and deep down, you know there's something else you're supposed to be doing with your life. If any of this sounds familiar, you might be experiencing the second sign of being the chosen one. The feeling of being different or out of place often comes when you're not in alignment with your true self. It's as if the universe is trying to tell you that you're meant for something different. Maybe it's a different career, a new way of thinking, or a path that hasn't even been discovered yet. This sign tells you that it's okay to feel different, because being different often means that you're meant to stand out in the world in a way that others don't understand just yet. So, how can you start embracing this feeling of being different and use it to guide you toward your purpose? First, you need to stop trying to force yourself into places and situations that don't feel right. Instead of pushing yourself to fit in, give yourself permission to follow your own path. Trust that the feeling of disconnection is not a mistake. It's the universe showing you that you're meant for something greater. Listen to your intuition and start taking small steps toward what truly excites you, even if it's different from what others expect. As you start to accept and embrace your unique journey, you may find that you start to attract people and opportunities that align with your true self. You might discover new passions, meet like-minded individuals, and find yourself stepping into a role that feels more authentic and fulfilling. The more you lean into this feeling of being different, the more you'll begin to understand that it's not a curse, it's a gift, and it's a sign that you're one step closer to discovering your true purpose. Reflect on your own life for a moment. Have you ever felt that deep sense of being different? That feeling of being out of place or disconnected from the world around you? If so, it's time to start seeing it as the sign it truly is. You're not meant to be like everyone else. You're meant to stand out, to follow a path that only you can walk. Trust in the process, and know that your uniqueness is exactly what the world needs. So, if you've ever felt different, out of place, or like you're meant for something more, take this as your confirmation that you are indeed the chosen one. Your path might not look like anyone else's, and that's exactly the way it's supposed to be. Embrace your difference, because it's the key to unlocking your true potential and fulfilling the purpose you were meant to live. The third sign, dreams and visions. Have you ever had a dream so vivid, so real, that when you woke up, you couldn't shake the feeling that it wasn't just a random creation of your mind? Maybe the dream stayed with you for days, leaving you with a sense of purpose or urgency. Or perhaps you've had a vision while awake, an image or scene that flashed in your mind, clear and undeniable, leaving you wondering if it was trying to tell you something. If you've experienced this, you're not alone, and it could very well be the third sign that you're the chosen one. Dreams and visions are often considered powerful tools of guidance, messages from the universe, or even glimpses into the future. They are the language of the subconscious and the spiritual realm, and they can be a clear signal that something greater is at play in your life. Dreams and visions have been regarded as prophetic by many cultures throughout history. Whether it's the Bible, ancient myths, or modern-day experiences, people have long believed that our dreams can hold meaning beyond what we see with our physical eyes. These experiences can range from vivid dreams of significant events to sudden, unexpected flashes of insight during meditation or quiet moments. But what makes these dreams and visions so special? How can we tell when they're more than just our mind processing the day's events? And how do we know if they're trying to guide us toward our true purpose? Let's explore this through the story of a character named Alex. Alex is a 28-year-old freelance writer who has always felt connected to something greater, though he couldn't quite put his finger on it. Over the past few months, Alex has started to experience strange and recurring dreams. At first, they seemed like nothing more than the typical chaos of everyday life playing out in his sleep. He'd dream about being late for important meetings or losing his way in unfamiliar places. But then, one night, the dreams took a different turn. In his dream, Alex found himself standing at the edge of a cliff, looking out over a vast landscape. The sky was painted with a mix of purples and blues, and there was an intense sense of peace and clarity in the air. As he stood there, a voice spoke to him, though it didn't come from any physical being. It was simply in his mind, clear and gentle, like an inner knowing. The voice told him that he was about to embark on a journey that would change his life, a journey that would require him to trust his intuition and his inner calling. The dream ended with him taking a step forward, ready to move into the unknown. When Alex woke up, he felt a sense of calm that he hadn't experienced before. It was as if something deep inside him had been awakened. He couldn't quite explain it, but he knew this dream wasn't just a random creation of his subconscious. There was something more to it. Over the following weeks, the dream began to repeat itself, with slight variations each time. Alex would find himself on that same cliff, hearing the same message, feeling the same sense of purpose. The more these dreams occurred, the more Alex felt that he was being prepared for something significant. Then, a few weeks later, Alex had a vision. He was sitting at his desk, working on a new article, when suddenly an image flashed in his mind. It was brief, almost like a snapshot of the future. He saw himself walking into a large open room filled with people, all focused on him. He was speaking to them, sharing his story, inspiring them to follow their own paths. The vision was so clear that Alex could see the expressions on the people's faces, their eyes filled with understanding and hope. It was as if he could see the future, a moment in time that was meant for him. When the vision faded, Alex sat still for a moment, his heart pounding. He didn't know exactly what it meant, but he knew it was important. Something was pulling him toward this moment, toward a purpose he had yet to fully understand. As Alex began to reflect on these dreams and visions, he started to realize that they were not random. They were messages, subtle nudges from the universe, guiding him toward a future that he had not yet fully embraced. He began to see that these dreams were not just a reflection of his inner thoughts, they were glimpses into his true path. And this realization opened up a new chapter of his life, one where he began to trust his intuition more and take steps toward his purpose. But Alex's story is not unique. Many people have experienced similar dreams and visions that seem to offer insight into the future or provide guidance during pivotal moments in their lives. These dreams and visions often come when we are on the verge of a significant change or when we are struggling to find direction. They can act as a beacon, showing us the way forward, even when we feel lost or unsure. But how can we tell if these dreams and visions are truly messages from the universe, or if they're just products of our own minds? The key is to pay attention to the details. Prophetic dreams and visions often carry a sense of urgency or importance. They're not just random fragments of thoughts, they feel significant, like a message that needs to be understood. They often come with a strong emotional charge, whether it's a sense of peace, excitement, or even fear. You may wake up from these dreams feeling like you've just had a conversation with your soul. And unlike other dreams that fade away after a few hours, these dreams stay with you, lingering in your mind and heart. Another way to recognize prophetic dreams and visions is by looking for patterns. If you start having recurring dreams or visions that seem to follow a similar theme or scenario, it could be a sign that the universe is trying to tell you something. These patterns can show up in the form of repeated symbols, like a specific animal, color, or number, or they can take the shape of similar situations or messages. The more you pay attention to these recurring patterns, the clearer the guidance becomes. It's also important to trust your intuition. Often, when we experience dreams or visions that feel meaningful, our first instinct is to dismiss them. We brush them off as coincidence or imagination. But if you've had a dream or vision that feels important, take a moment to sit with it and see how it resonates with you. Does it feel like it's pointing you towards something? Does it offer clarity or direction in your life? If so, it could be a sign that you're on the right track, or that there's something you need to pay attention to. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever had a dream or vision that felt significant? One that seemed to offer guidance or insight into your life? Maybe it was a glimpse of the future, or perhaps it was a message that helped you make an important decision. Whatever it was, I encourage you to share your experiences in the comments below. Let's create a space where we can connect and support each other on this journey. And maybe, just maybe, we'll uncover some of the hidden messages that are guiding us all toward our purpose. In the end, dreams and visions are powerful tools of guidance. They are not to be ignored, but rather embraced as part of your journey. They can serve as signposts along the way, pointing you toward your true path. And if you've had one of these experiences, it's a reminder that you're not alone, that the universe is communicating with you, offering its support as you step into the life you were meant to live.
The fourth sign: unusual encounters and meeting the right people.
Have you ever had one of those unexpected encounters with a stranger, where it felt like the universe had placed them in your path for a reason? Maybe it was a brief conversation that left you feeling inspired, or perhaps you met someone who said exactly what you needed to hear at just the right time. These seemingly random encounters can sometimes be more than just chance. They can be signs that you are on the right path, being guided by forces greater than yourself. The fourth sign that you might be the chosen one is all about these unusual encounters and the people who show up in your life at the perfect moment. They may not be the people you expect, but they can have a lasting impact on your journey, offering guidance, support, or even life-changing advice. It's easy to overlook these chance meetings, especially when we're caught up in the busyness of our lives.
We tend to go through our days in a routine, interacting with the same people, doing the same things, and rarely stopping to consider the significance of those we meet along the way. But sometimes, in the most unexpected moments, someone will cross your path who changes everything. It could be someone you meet on a trip, in a cafe, or even in a random conversation on the street. It might not feel like much at the time, but looking back, you realize that this person played a crucial role in moving you closer to your true purpose. Let's take a closer look at the story of a character named Emma. Emma is in her mid-30s and has always felt like she was meant for something more, but she couldn't quite figure out what that was. She had a steady job as a graphic designer and a comfortable life, but deep down, she felt disconnected from the work she was doing. Her passion for art had been replaced by a sense of obligation, and she spent most of her time feeling unfulfilled. One afternoon, Emma decided to take a walk through the park to clear her mind. It had been a stressful week, and she needed some time to reflect. As she walked along the winding paths of the park, she found herself lost in thought, trying to figure out what direction to take in her life. She had always dreamed of becoming a full-time artist, but the practicality of her job kept her from pursuing her true passion. Her inner conflict had been weighing heavily on her, and she felt torn between the life she had built and the one she longed for. Suddenly, she bumped into an elderly woman sitting on a bench. The woman smiled at Emma and remarked, "You look like someone who's carrying a heavy burden. What's on your mind?" Emma was taken aback by the stranger's perceptiveness, but decided to open up. She told the woman about her struggles, about how she felt stuck in a job that didn't bring her joy, how she feared taking the leap to follow her artistic dreams, and how she couldn't shake the feeling that she was meant to do something else. The elderly woman listened patiently, nodding along, and then, after a brief pause, she said something that would change Emma's life forever. "Sometimes, the path we're meant to walk is hidden behind the things we're too afraid to let go of," the woman said. "But if you trust yourself and take the first step, you'll find that the universe will support you in ways you never imagined." Emma was stunned. The words felt like a revelation, and she couldn't shake the feeling that the woman had just given her the push she needed to make a change. She thanked the woman and left the park with a renewed sense of clarity. That evening, she started to research ways to transition into a career as an artist, and within a few months, she had quit her job and began showing her work at local galleries. She could never have predicted that a chance encounter with a stranger would be the catalyst for such a profound transformation. But Emma's story isn't unique. Many people have had similar experiences, where an unexpected meeting with a stranger led them to the right path, or even set them on a completely new trajectory. These encounters often come at pivotal moments in our lives, when we're uncertain about our future or struggling to find direction. The right person, appearing at just the right time, can offer the wisdom, encouragement, or insight that we need to take the next step forward. These encounters can take many different forms. Sometimes it's someone who becomes a mentor, a person who offers guidance and shares wisdom from their own experiences. Other times it's a stranger who says something that resonates with you deeply, or someone who simply listens and provides a safe space for you to express your fears and doubts. These people often have no idea of the impact they're having, but their words or actions can be the turning point that leads to profound change in your life.
It's important to understand that these encounters are often not random. In fact, many people who are on the path of the chosen one experience them frequently. These encounters can be seen as spiritual guidance, a way for the universe to steer you in the right direction. You may not always recognize the significance of these meetings right away, but when you look back, you'll often realize that they were pivotal moments that shaped your journey. So, how can you begin to recognize these encounters as they happen? The first step is to remain open and receptive to the people you meet. You never know who might cross your path and what they might offer, whether it's a chance meeting with a mentor, a stranger with a kind word, or a conversation that sparks a new idea. Being open to these experiences can help you recognize the messages that are being sent your way. Another key factor is being present. Sometimes, when we're distracted or caught up in our own thoughts, we miss the opportunities that come our way. By staying present and engaged in the moment, you increase your chances of recognizing when someone enters your life with a message or guidance that could change everything. It's also important to trust your intuition. If you meet someone and feel an immediate connection, or a sense that they have something valuable to offer, don't dismiss it. Trust that the universe has brought this person into your life for a reason. Even if you don't understand why at the time, there's a chance that this encounter is part of a greater plan. Now, I'd like to ask you to reflect on your own life. Have you ever had an unexpected encounter with someone that changed the course of your journey? Maybe it was a chance meeting that led to a new opportunity, or a stranger who said something that resonated with you deeply. Maybe you met someone who became a mentor or a friend, someone who helped you see things from a different perspective or encouraged you to pursue your dreams. Take a moment to think about these relationships and consider how they may have played a role in getting you closer to where you are today. If you've had an encounter like this, I encourage you to share your story in the comments below. Sometimes the most powerful moments in our lives come from the people we least expect. And by sharing these experiences, we can help others recognize the guidance that's available to them, whether it's from a stranger or someone who appears in their life for just a brief moment. These encounters are not random. They are part of a greater plan, and they often bring us exactly what we need at the right time. In the end, these unusual encounters with the right people can be some of the most powerful signs that you are on the right path. They serve as reminders that you're not alone on your journey, and that the universe is always working to guide you toward your true purpose. So, the next time you meet someone unexpectedly, take a moment to reflect on the possibility that this person might be exactly who you needed to meet at just the right time. Trust that the universe has a plan for you, and be open to the guidance that comes from the people you meet along the way. The fifth sign, facing challenges that lead to growth. Life has a way of throwing challenges our way. Sometimes these challenges seem insurmountable, like obstacles that stand in our path with no clear way around them. At other times, they might appear as setbacks, events or situations that derail our plans or force us to reconsider our direction. It's easy to feel as though these difficulties are simply random misfortunes or tests of our patience. However, what if I told you that these challenges aren't random at all? What if, instead of being obstacles, they are actually part of a greater plan designed to help you grow, learn, and step into your true purpose? The fifth sign that you might be the chosen one is all about facing challenges that, though difficult, lead to personal growth and transformation. The concept of facing challenges that lead to growth is not a new one. In fact, many people throughout history have experienced what can only be described as defining moments, times when they were tested in ways they never expected, only to come out stronger, wiser, and more aligned with their true path. These challenges, though painful in the moment, often hold the key to unlocking something greater within us. They force us to confront our fears, question our assumptions, and push through our limitations. And as we do, we discover new strengths, abilities, and insights that we would never have encountered if we hadn't faced those hardships. Let's take a look at the story of a character named Jack. Jack had always been a confident, ambitious man. He worked hard to build a successful career in finance and had a comfortable life. Big house, nice car, and a steady paycheck. On the outside, everything seemed perfect, but Jack felt a growing sense of dissatisfaction that he couldn't ignore. Deep down, he knew something was missing, but he wasn't sure what it was. He kept pushing through, believing that his happiness would eventually come once he achieved more success. However, the universe had other plans for him. One day, Jack received unexpected news. He was laid off from his job. At first, he was in shock. He had always been a high performer, and the idea of losing his job felt like a blow to his self-worth. For the first time in years, Jack felt completely lost. The security and stability he had worked so hard to build seemed to crumble before his eyes. He struggled to understand why this was happening. How could his world fall apart when he had done everything right? At the time, Jack couldn't see the bigger picture. He was consumed with frustration, fear, and a deep sense of failure. As the weeks passed, Jack struggled to find a new job. Despite his qualifications and experience, the offers didn't come. He found himself spiraling into a place of self-doubt, questioning his worth and whether he had made the right choices in life. For a while, he felt as though he was treading water, stuck in a cycle of disappointment and uncertainty. But then, something shifted. Jack began to spend more time reflecting on his life, his goals, and what truly mattered to him. He realized that his career in finance had never truly fulfilled him. He had been chasing external validation and financial success, but those things hadn't brought him the sense of purpose and satisfaction he had longed for. It was during this period of uncertainty that Jack decided to make a change. He began to explore his passion for writing, something he had always enjoyed but had never pursued seriously. Jack started taking writing courses, dedicating time every day to improve his craft. As he did, he realized that this was where his true calling lay, not in spreadsheets and financial reports, but in storytelling and helping others through his words. Over time, Jack started to write for small publications and eventually published his own book. What began as a crisis, the loss of his job, became the catalyst for a career and life that felt much more aligned with his true self. The very thing that had felt like a major setback turned out to be the push Jack needed to step into his higher purpose. Jack's story is a perfect example of how challenges, though painful, can lead to personal growth and transformation. At the time of the setback, he couldn't see how this difficult period was preparing him for something greater. But in hindsight, he realized that losing his job was a wake-up call, a sign that his current path wasn't aligned with his true purpose. It forced him to re-evaluate his life and take steps toward what he was truly passionate about. Without that challenge, he may never have discovered his love for writing or taken the leap into a career that brought him real fulfillment. But Jack's story isn't unique. Many of us face moments in life when we experience setbacks, whether it's the loss of a job, the end of a relationship, a financial crisis, or a health scare. These challenges can feel overwhelming, and it's natural to want to resist or avoid them. However, when we face these challenges head-on with an open heart and mind, we often discover that they are not just obstacles, they are opportunities for growth. They force us to let go of the old and step into something new, something that's more aligned with who we truly are. As you reflect on your own life, think about the challenges you've faced and how they've shaped you. Maybe you've gone through a difficult breakup, or perhaps you've faced a career setback that made you question everything. Maybe you've encountered health problems that forced you to reevaluate your priorities. At the time, these challenges may have felt like nothing more than roadblocks, but when you look back, you might realize that they were turning points, moments that forced you to change, grow, and become a better version of yourself. These challenges may have been exactly what you needed to get closer to your true purpose. Take a moment to think about how you've grown through adversity. Have you faced a major setback that, in hindsight, turned out to be a blessing in disguise? Perhaps a failure led to a breakthrough, or a disappointment led to a new opportunity. The key to understanding these challenges is to recognize that they are not there to punish you. They are there to teach you. They are part of the journey, helping you grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Each challenge you face is a stepping stone, bringing you closer to the person you are meant to become. The next time you encounter a challenge in your life, instead of seeing it as an obstacle, try to view it as an opportunity for growth. Ask yourself, what is this situation teaching me? What am I meant to learn from this experience? It might not be easy, and it might not happen overnight, but by embracing the challenges that come your way, you'll find that they are often the very things that shape you into the person you're meant to be. And remember, you're not alone on this journey. Every person who has ever walked a path toward greatness has faced their own set of challenges. These challenges are part of the process of growth, and they are the very things that will help you rise above and step into your higher purpose. You are not defined by the setbacks you face. You are defined by how you respond to them. So, the next time life throws a challenge your way, take a deep breath, trust the process, and know that you are being guided towards something greater. The sixth sign, an inner calling or gut feeling. Have you ever experienced a moment where you just knew, deep down, that you had to do something, even though you couldn't explain why? It's that feeling you get when something inside you says, this is the right thing to do, but there's no logical reason behind it. Perhaps it's an urge to take a new path in life, to pursue a dream you've been putting off, or to reach out to someone you haven't spoken to in years. It doesn't always make sense in the moment, but you feel a strong, almost magnetic pull toward a specific action. That feeling you're experiencing might be one of the clearest signs that you're on the right track. It could be an inner calling, a gut feeling, guiding you toward your true purpose. The sixth sign that you might be the chosen one is all about recognizing and trusting these gut feelings that can sometimes point the way to a greater, more meaningful path. Gut feelings, or what some call intuitive nudges, are often described as those inner whispers that seem to come from nowhere, but they have a sense of urgency or importance. It's as if your subconscious, or the universe itself, is trying to tell you something that goes beyond the surface level of your thoughts. These gut feelings are often linked to your deeper self, the part of you that understands your true desires and purpose. The tricky part, however, is that they don't always make sense in the moment. In fact, they can feel completely illogical or even out of place, especially if they go against the plans you've made or the expectations of those around you. Let's explore this through the story of a character named Sarah. Sarah had always been a planner. She believed in hard work, practicality, and taking a steady, predictable path through life. She had a good job in marketing, a stable relationship, and a comfortable routine. Everything seemed to be going well, but over time, Sarah started feeling a sense of unease. It wasn't that she hated her job or her life, it was more like something was missing, like she was living someone else's version of her life rather than her own. Deep down, Sarah had always dreamed of becoming a photographer, but she had dismissed this passion as impractical. She told herself that it wasn't a sensible career choice, that she had responsibilities and bills to pay. So she kept pushing that dream aside, focusing on her job and the safe path she had created. But one day, Sarah had a gut feeling, a strong, almost overwhelming urge that she needed to take action. It started as a fleeting thought, maybe I should take a photography class. But as the days passed, this thought turned into an inner calling, a persistent feeling that wouldn't let go. It wasn't just an idle idea, it was a pull, a deep sense that this was something she was meant to explore, something she couldn't ignore any longer. Every time she thought about it, her heart raced. She couldn't explain why, but it felt as if something inside her was waking up, urging her to take that first step toward her true passion. At first, Sarah resisted. She had responsibilities, a job she was good at, and a comfortable life. What would people think if she suddenly decided to pursue photography? Wasn't she being irresponsible, throwing away everything she had built? But the feeling wouldn't go away. It was like a gentle but insistent nudge from within. Eventually, after weeks of thinking about it, Sarah signed up for a weekend photography class. The first class was a revelation. As she picked up her camera and started learning the technical aspects of photography, she felt an undeniable connection to the art form. It was like she had found a piece of herself that had been missing all along. She wasn't just taking pictures, she was telling stories, capturing moments in time that resonated deeply with her. From that point on, Sarah's life began to shift. What had started as a gut feeling, an urge to take a photography class, became the catalyst for a complete transformation. She began to take on freelance photography projects, built her portfolio, and eventually started her own business. Sarah's gut feeling had led her to something she hadn't even fully realized she wanted, but once she embraced it, it became clear that this was the path she was always meant to follow. The more she followed her intuition, the more aligned her life became with her true purpose. Sarah's story highlights how powerful these gut feelings can be. It's easy to dismiss them as mere whims or distractions, but when you listen closely, you might realize that they are guiding you towards something more fulfilling. It's as if your inner self knows the way, even when your conscious mind is unsure. In many ways, your gut feelings are like a compass, pointing you toward the experiences, people, and opportunities that will help you grow and fulfill your purpose. Now think about your own life. Have you ever had a gut feeling that led you to take an unexpected action? Maybe it was a feeling that you needed to reach out to someone, start a new project, or make a change in your life. At the time, it might not have seemed logical, but looking back, you realize that following that instinct was one of the best decisions you ever made. These moments are the ones that often define our paths, even if they don't seem like big, dramatic events. Sometimes the simplest gut feelings, like signing up for a class or making a phone call, can set us on a journey that changes everything. One of the most important things to remember about gut feelings is that they often don't come with a clear explanation. They don't always make sense in the moment, and they can sometimes go against our logical thinking or the plans we've made. However, if we can learn to trust these feelings and take action, we open ourselves up to experiences and opportunities that we may have never considered otherwise. It's as if the universe is speaking to us through our intuition, guiding us toward the path that will bring us closer to our true purpose. This is why it's so important to listen to those inner whispers, even when they don't seem to make sense. Your gut feeling might be telling you to take a leap of faith, to step out of your comfort zone, or to embrace a new direction in life. It's often in these moments of uncertainty that we find the most growth, because when we listen to our intuition, we are aligning ourselves with a deeper part of who we are. We are moving toward the person we are meant to become. Now I want to encourage you to reflect on your own life and consider the gut feelings you've had. Have there been moments when you followed your instincts even though it didn't make sense? How did those decisions impact your life? Did they lead you to something greater, something that felt more aligned with your true self? I'd love to hear about your experiences with gut feelings and inner callings in the comments below. Sharing your story can help others recognize their own intuitive nudges and inspire them to trust their own inner guidance. In the end, trusting your gut is not just about making random decisions, it's about aligning yourself with a deeper sense of purpose. Your intuition is one of the most powerful tools you have, and by learning to listen to it, you can tap into a guidance system that will help you navigate the journey toward your true purpose. If you're feeling a strong inner calling or a gut feeling, don't dismiss it. It might be the universe pointing you in the direction you need to go, toward the life you were always meant to live. The final sign, a sense of peace and purpose. Have you ever experienced a moment in your life where, despite all the chaos and uncertainty, you felt an overwhelming sense of peace and clarity? It's as though, in the midst of everything swirling around you, something inside you clicked into place. You might not have all the answers, but you feel deeply that you are exactly where you need to be, doing exactly what you are meant to do. This feeling of peace is often considered one of the clearest signs that you are on the right path, that you are living your true purpose. The seventh sign that you might be the chosen one is all about this inner peace and clarity that comes when you are aligned with your purpose. Many people spend years searching for a sense of inner peace, trying to find that balance where everything feels right. For some, it comes after a period of struggle or turmoil. It might take hitting rock bottom or facing a difficult challenge before the clarity and peace arrive. And when it does, it's often followed by a deep understanding that you are finally living authentically, aligned with who you truly are and what you are meant to contribute to the world. Let's consider the story of a character named James. James had always been a hard-working, driven individual. He worked in corporate law, a career that promised financial success, stability, and a comfortable life. On the surface, everything seemed perfect. He had a good salary, a nice apartment, and a circle of friends who admired his accomplishments. But despite the outward success, James felt disconnected from his life. He worked long hours, often sacrificing his personal happiness and relationships for the sake of his career. Deep down, he knew that something was missing, but he couldn't quite put his finger on it. He had spent years following a path that seemed logical, but it no longer brought him fulfillment. One day, James experienced a major shift in his life. After a particularly difficult and stressful year, he found himself facing burnout. He had worked himself to the brink, juggling cases, deadlines, and the pressure of his job. But despite all his hard work, something inside him told him that this wasn't the life he was supposed to live. He took a leave of absence from work to reflect on his life and figure out what he truly wanted. It was during this period of reflection that James had the opportunity to step back, take a deep breath, and truly assess his life. He realized that, while he had always been good at his job, it didn't align with his passions. The long hours, the stressful deadlines, and the constant pressure had drained him of his energy and enthusiasm. He felt disconnected from the things he truly cared about: his love for art, his desire to help others, and his dream of living a life filled with purpose and meaning. During this time of soul-searching, James began to feel a deep sense of peace. It wasn't something that happened overnight, and it wasn't a result of a single moment of clarity. Rather, it was a gradual realization that, in order to find true fulfillment, he needed to make a change. This was a pivotal moment in James's life. He knew that he had to leave his corporate job behind and pursue a career that truly resonated with him. But what was even more striking was the sense of peace that washed over him as he made this decision. Despite the uncertainty of what the future held, James felt deeply calm, as though he was finally on the path he was meant to walk. This sense of peace wasn't a fleeting feeling, it was a profound shift in his mindset. For the first time in years, he felt centered and aligned with his purpose. James decided to pursue a career in non-profit work, helping underprivileged communities gain access to legal resources and support. He knew it would be a difficult transition, and he would have to take a step back financially. But for the first time in his life, the idea of following his true calling brought him a sense of joy and fulfillment that far surpassed the material rewards of his previous career. The more he immersed himself in this new work, the more he felt a sense of purpose. Every day, he was surrounded by people who were passionate about making a difference, and that energy fueled his own desire to contribute to the greater good. This newfound peace and sense of purpose wasn't just about doing work that felt good, it was about living in alignment with his core values and beliefs. James realized that peace wasn't something he could chase externally. It wasn't found in the approval of others or the accumulation of wealth and status. True peace came from within, from the understanding that he was living authentically and following the path he was always meant to walk. James's story serves as a powerful reminder that sometimes, in the midst of turmoil, we find the clarity and peace we've been searching for. His journey wasn't easy, and it wasn't instant. It required him to step away from a life that was familiar and comfortable in order to pursue something that felt uncertain but true to his heart. And in doing so, he discovered a profound peace that came from living in alignment with his deeper purpose. But James's story is just one example of how peace and purpose can manifest in our lives. Many people experience this shift at different times and in different ways. It might come after a period of loss, a health scare, a career change, or a personal crisis. But no matter how it happens, the key takeaway is that this sense of peace is a sign that you are on the right path. When you start living in alignment with your true self, you'll often find that the external noise of the world fades away, and you are left with a quiet, steady sense of inner knowing. Have you ever experienced this sense of peace and purpose in your own life? Maybe there was a time when you felt completely at ease with the decisions you were making, even though the road ahead was uncertain. Perhaps it came after a period of reflection, when you finally understood what you were meant to do. Or maybe it came after a difficult challenge, when you realized that the struggle had been preparing you for something greater. Whatever your experience, it's important to recognize that peace and purpose are signs that you are living in alignment with your true calling. If you're still searching for this sense of peace, remember that it's not something that can be forced or rushed. It often comes naturally when we stop resisting and allow ourselves to follow the path that feels right for us. Trust that the universe is guiding you toward what you are meant to do, and be patient with yourself as you navigate the twists and turns of life. When you finally step into your purpose, you'll feel a sense of peace that goes beyond anything you've ever known. It's the peace that comes from living authentically and with intention. It's the peace that tells you, deep down, that you are exactly where you need to be. Now, as we wrap up today's video, I encourage you to reflect on your own journey. Have you ever experienced that quiet sense of peace, where everything just felt aligned? Or perhaps you are still searching for it, trying to find your way. Wherever you are in your journey, remember that the path to peace and purpose is unique to you. If you feel a sense of peace with the choices you're making, trust that you are on the right track. Your inner peace is not just a sign of comfort, it's a sign that you are living in harmony with your true self and your higher purpose. So, as you continue on your path, pay attention to those moments of peace and clarity. They may be subtle, but they are powerful. If you feel at peace and energized, you might just be walking the path of the chosen one, aligning yourself with the life you were meant to live. As we reach the end of this video, let's take a moment to recap the signs that might be guiding you toward your true purpose. If you've noticed recurring patterns or synchronicities in your life, if you've felt different or out of place, or if you've experienced dreams or visions that seem to hold deeper meaning, these are all powerful indicators that you could be the chosen one. The universe communicates with us in subtle ways, using signs and experiences to guide us toward the path we are truly meant to walk. These signs are not just random occurrences, they are messages pointing you toward a greater purpose. Perhaps you've had moments when you felt an inner calling or gut feeling that you couldn't ignore, urging you to take a certain step, even when it didn't make sense. Or maybe you've faced difficult challenges in your life that, while hard at the time, eventually led to significant personal growth and a clearer understanding of who you are and what you're meant to do. And through all of this, perhaps you've experienced a sense of peace and purpose that tells you, deep down, that you are on the right path, living in alignment with your true self. These are all signs that you are being guided towards something bigger than you might even realize. They are part of the journey toward becoming the person you were always meant to be. The path isn't always easy, and sometimes it requires facing uncertainty or stepping outside of your comfort zone. But with each sign, with each moment of clarity, you're moving closer to discovering your special purpose in this world. Remember, the universe is always speaking to you, and if you are open to its messages, you will find that the path to your purpose becomes clearer. Trust in your journey, even when it feels uncertain. Trust that every step, every challenge, and every sign is part of the process. You are exactly where you need to be, and each moment you embrace these signs brings you closer to the life you are meant to live. If you've noticed any of these signs in your life, don't ignore them. These are not coincidences. You may be on the path to something greater, something that's waiting for you just around the corner. So, take a deep breath, trust your intuition, and continue to move forward. You are being guided. Don't forget to like this video if you felt any of these signs in your own life. Share it with someone who might need to hear that they are not alone on their journey, and that the universe is guiding them too. And of course, subscribe to our channel for more signs, guidance, and inspiration as you continue on your path to discovering your true purpose. Remember, you are not just a random person in this world. You are part of something much bigger, and the universe has a special plan for you. Trust the signs, trust your journey, and believe in your own special purpose. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.